After everyone was like, you got all of these superheroes, and I was like, oh yeah, that's true.
Those high-value items your company insures, I occasionally make them disappear, and no one gets hurt.
I love that this movie is like a superhero AU. It doesn't matter what superhero you're looking at, you're like, yeah, this is the alternate universe of whatever storyline. How much fun is it when you're like, not just casting, but like when you're directing it? Like, did you ever have those moments where you're like, yeah, I got Thor and Storm and the Hulk and the Joker all in a movie, all kind of working together?
You know what? It wasn't until the trailer came out and people were making those comments that I even thought about that. I guess, yeah, that's a trip in a way. I suppose, when I think about like Ruffalo, I guess I think about, this incredible body of other amazing work that he's done. And then with Halle, obviously, I remember seeing Monsters Ball for the first time and thinking, this is an incredible actor. So I was less thinking about that. Obviously, Barry I'd worked with before, and I'd actually forgotten that he'd done
He's the Joker now.
He's the Joker, yeah. So, I guess it was more like after everyone was like, you got all of these superheroes, and I was like, oh yeah, that's true. But I think it is a very different kind of world they're playing in.
I 100% agree. Well, and now I guess you technically have Ringo Starr in a crime movie, if you think about it that way.
I never even thought we should have got him to like at least do something.
Play some drums,
yeah.
Well, I love that, I said this to Chris and Halle, but I do love that this movie has a lot of like cat and mouse activity where everyone is a cat and a mouse at the exact same time, and they're all playing it at the height of their intelligence. When you're working as a director and you have all those moving parts and you're trying to figure out like maybe who has the upper hand in one scene versus another, what for you was like the biggest challenge of making sure it flowed as like beautifully as it does in Crime 101?
That is a very complicated and very good question. What you do, and because I guess it's easier because I'm the writer as well, so I know where the shifts are. And I think your job as the director is what you got to do is like, first of all, you sort of have to make sure you know what are those little turning points in the scene that's the if there is a scene which doesn't have one of those sort of turning points, there's no change in it, then the chances are it may end up not making the final cut because what is it really there for? And so when you know what those moments are when there's a shift in a character, like they suddenly something clocks or something. Those are the things that, as a director, like, all right, if we run out of time, if we're, if we lose the light or whatever it is, those are the key things that I have to capture. And sometimes in a scene, it starts off as Chris's scene, and then by the end, it's become Halle's scene. And again, those things you have to kind of be very careful. So I guess I do an awful lot of prep. I make a copious amount of notes, and I hope, the other thing is, you get actors as good as that, and your life is relatively easy,
Yeah. Well, so my favorite Mark Ruffalo movie that I think about all the time is Zodiac. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So anytime he's a detective in anything, I'm like, great, we're back in Zodiac. It's perfect. Is it fun for you as a director to like get to, whether intentionally or not, give stuff to fans like that, like who love these actors for one reason or another, like Mark Ruffalo as a detective?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's in a way you kind of like, I love Zodiac as well, and if I had any like, not that I ever had any reservation, but if there was ever a moment where I thought about Ruffalo, it was like he has done detectives brilliantly. Is it too obvious? But then you kind of can never come up with someone who could be better. So even though I was like, damn it, he's done it before, is it too close to something that he's done? But then at the same time, what are you going to do? Cast a less exciting, amazing actor? Just, so if people enjoy that fact, then that's great. That they can, he was in Collateral as a detective. Very different again. So all of those things are kind of fun. I think he found a new iteration in this. You always want to make sure that at the end of the day, it's not like anything we've seen him do before.
I agree. And for a last quick thing I wanted to ask is, I love how awkward Chris Hemsworth is, and I love how chaotic Barry Keoghan is. And so, but the action scenes make it so much more fun because you have one that's very practiced and weird, and the other one who's just crazy.
Chaos, yeah.
How much fun was it to kind of map out those scenes and see the difference between the two as the movie goes on?
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, hopefully you see a progression. Chris's character starts the movie like meticulous, precise. He's laser sharp. He's kind of, incredibly good at what he does. And as the pressure mounts, you see that shift. He's closer and closer to the edge. When you shoot an action thing, you've always got to be driven by character. If you want to know how the motorbike is going to drive at 80 miles an hour, the answer is who's driving it. And if it's Barry and he's playing a maniac, well, that's your answer. That's how it's got to move. And then with Chris, again, if the behavior is rooted in the character and can help you tell the audience more about the character or the way they, how reckless they are, how dangerous it becomes, is always like how badly do they need to catch him or whatever it is. So yeah, we had a lot of fun trying to create action sequences that, there's car chase is a very familiar trope from movies. So the challenge is, how do you do something that feels new or edge of your seat or put you as close to what it might feel like to be in that car as possible?
You're about to break every rule you've ever lived by. What makes this job different?
There comes a moment when you realize you don't have as much time as you thought you had.